Ovechkin fires. He scores! The Great Eight has done it again.
Looking back to when you broke Lou Gehrig's consecutive games played record, first of all, I can't believe it's almost 30 years ago. Was there a time when you finally said, you know what, this just might be possible?
Yeah, it was when I got within a season of the games. You know, before 2000 was big because only Lou Gehrig has got 2000. But for me personally, I never thought about it. I just went out and tried to play each game and figured out if something was going to happen, it was going to happen. Just play the same way you always did. But there was pressure that built in the last season because all of a sudden there was like a finish line. And I really didn't like the finish line concept. It made me think, should I play more careful? And I'm going, no, don't play careful. Just play. Let it all happen. If it's going to happen, if it's meant to be, then it'll go. But it became conceivable to me in the year that I guess the September 6th was towards the end of the season. 1995 was when we started late because of the lockout. So it wasn't a full season, but it fell within one season. And since I had done that, 16 or 17 other times, I thought that it was possible.
We're going to get to the pressure of it in a little bit. We're doing a Cal Ripken Jr., Alex Ovechkin comparison here. And in that instance, you had a target date. For Alex, it's going to come organically. What might you expect would be the difference, maybe what's going through his mind as he tries to figure out where it's going to fall?
So it's interesting. There's two times in my life where I felt it's performance-based because when you play every day, as long as you stay healthy and you're in the lineup, then you could actually look at a date in the finish line. But I think when I was trying to hit number 3,000, so that was a performance-based one. We started the season early in that year, and it wasn't happening for me. And then everybody was anticipating when would that occur? Would you do it at home? Would you do it on the road? And it just kind of changed your approach. And all of a sudden, you're going up to home plate trying to get a hit. And in actuality, you don't get hits by trying to get a hit. You get hits by putting a good swing on it, making good contact, and then it happens. So I would imagine scoring goals. I don't know whether you're pressing, you're trying harder to score a goal. The pressure then builds up because you're trying to make something happen as opposed to letting something happen. And that was my experience with 3,000 hits. I had a long drought, I think, and when I hit my 400th home run, it was like, and again, you especially don't hit home runs when you're trying to hit home runs. They just kind of happen. So, when I think about Alex, just let the game, happen, let your skills happen. You've done it so far now. It'll happen. It'll happen on its own, but just let it happen. Don't try to force it.
What was it like for you to balance the spotlight being on you so brightly for an individual record, while at the same time you had to be the leader for the ball club?
Yeah, I was extra sensitive about that. In 1995, we went into spring training after the lockout, and I thought it was going to be more about work stoppage and all that kind of stuff. But the first day I stepped on the field, there was an intense media interest in the record. And then I didn't anticipate that. And our PR guy, John Maroon, did not anticipate that as well. So then we had to start to, how do we exist, still play, and how do we not affect our teammates? And, so we came up with some different ideas. Every time I came into a city, in the first stop in a city, we had a 3-game series. I think that's different in hockey, but you had a 3-game series. I made myself available like in the middle of the afternoon. Everybody want to come out. We'll talk about it all you want then. And then for the next 3 days or 3 games, I'll have a break from that. And I wanted to take it to the dugout, take it outside the clubhouse. I didn't want the team to be affected negatively by this extra attention. And, you just do the best you can. You try to give of yourself to the media because there's more interest. You try to give yourself to the fans because they're more interested. And it worked out well for me because 95, as I said before, was the lockout after a strike and the cancellation of the World Series. So it gave me a chance to almost say you're sorry to the fans, through talking to them and focusing on the streak, signing a lot more autographs than I did before. And I was always known for doing that anyway. But it gave me a chance to interact with the fans through the record. And I think that worked for them, and it certainly worked for me.
Let's see if we can get you to give a little more advice from one grade 8 to another about rising to the occasion when that moment actually happens. I mean, you hit a home run right in the middle of 21-31.
Yeah, the rising to the occasion or hitting under pressure is a lot about learning about yourself. How do you perform in those pressure situations? And Alex has a ton of knowing how he performs in crunch situations, high pressure situations, the playoffs, the Stanley Cup. I had the chance to play in 19 All-Star games, which, you want to rise to the occasion in those. But then you realize, for me, that the harder I tried, the more I wanted to do it, the less it kind of happened. And so I always had to calm myself down, bring myself back in. But during 21-29, 21-30, and 21-31, it was important to me to perform well, too. I didn't like the idea when somebody called it an attendance record. You're deserving to be in the lineup all the time, and then you're able to stay healthy all that time. So I was bothered by that expression. So I wanted our team to win, and I wanted our team to play well. I wanted to play well individually, and then the streak would make sense, more in that way. So I hit a home run in 21-29. I hit a home run in 21-30. I hit a home run in 21-31, and I took my focus and my calmness into that game. I wish that we would have been playing for the playoffs in the month of September at that time, but we had fallen back. We were playing the California Angels, who were playing for a playoff spot, and we beat them in the 3 games there. And that was as important as celebrating the actual record itself.
We've heard you reference how pressure-packed this was upon you, the crush that was there. Cal, in the quiet times, who helped you handle that pressure?
I have an introverted personality, and so in order for me to recharge, I have to have my own downtime. I learned that about myself a long time ago. Is there's stimulation all over the place, and in the normal stimulation, your normal everyday come to the ballpark, there's a media relationship, there's your responsibility that you do, and then the responsibility to your team and how you play. So to me, I'll say selfishly, it was mostly me. If I locked myself in a room, I watched a couple of movies back and forth. You almost had to take yourself to another place where you're not thinking about what's happening. So I needed to recharge. Extroverts need the energy of the people, to kind of recharge. I was the opposite. So I didn't have to search anybody out. I just had to make sure that I had my private time and my quiet time. I used to call it the quiet time before the storm. So maybe I came to the ballpark a little later, towards that time, so you could minimize all the things that were happening. You could control the environment just a little bit more, and I found that once I was recharged and I was more ably, I was more able to deal with all the things that surrounded that moment.
I've heard you touch on the media. I've watched Alex Ovechkin work through countless media availabilities, press conferences, podium sessions. I'm sure that has to be a grind. When you think about it, what's the best way for Alex to approach those media expectations that are going to be heaped upon him?
So Paul Molitor, like in the early stages of that year, kind of said, don't try to control it, let it happen. Let it go with the flow. And I thought that was really good advice, is that instead of trying to control every aspect of it, almost surrender to what was happening. And then the press conferences didn't become a burden anymore. They became kind of fun. I had a chance to take my kids into the press conference a couple times. My kids were much younger. I think Ryan was 2, Rachel was 5 or 6 at the time. But I was able to share that experience in that moment. So by surrendering to what's happening to you, it seems like it's a whole lot easier than trying to control and trying to make sure everything goes right. So Paul, I'm thankful. I think Paul was kind of referring to his long hitting streak, where it became sort of difficult because they're covering, and the media keeps covering you and all the time, and it became pressurized. So his experience was just surrender yourself to the moment and just go with the flow.
Cal, one of my favorite stats about Ovechkin is something I'm sure that you can relate to. He's played in 95% of the games that he's been eligible to play. Obviously, that speaks to an amazing durability. What does that mean to you when you hear that number about Alex in a sport that's as physically demanding as hockey can be?
I mean, that is awesome. And I mean, they talk about ability. One of the greatest things about ability is availability. You could be a great player, but you got to be out there, for the challenges of each and every day. And that was the meaning of the streak to me. It wasn't about breaking Lou Gehrig's record. It was that you were available to your team to meet the challenges today. And that was the most important thing to me. So sometimes when you're dragging and you don't feel like you could use an off day, say you played 15 innings in Boston and we got an 11 o'clock game the next day, the Boston Marathon sometimes would make, when you're in Boston, would make you play a lot earlier game. Roger Clemens is pitching. I'm 0 for my last 15. You're kind of feeling sorry for yourself a minute. But then you go, okay, we can beat Roger. But we have to beat Roger with our best lineup. And so on that particular day I'm referring to, I get 2 hits. I get the game-winning hit off Roger, and we win the game. So pushing yourself through those moments and being available to your teammates, I always thought good things will happen. And when you look at Alex pushes himself through. I mean, to hear the number 95%, in a sport like hockey where the physicality, he's a horse, but the physicality takes a toll on you, I think, greater than baseball. And maybe probably in parallel to football in some ways. But it's remarkable, but I think it's really cool that he was available to his teammates all the time.
Cal calls Alex a horse. He's a Triple Crown winning horse, indeed.
Yeah.
I've heard you say that it was your mom who taught you how to play baseball. Alex's mom has been incredibly influential upon his success. What was it about your mom's teaching that sort of motivated you to go to work every day?
So I think because my dad was in the minor leagues for the first 14 years, which meant he never saw one of my amateur baseball games, all the way from Little League all the way through high school. He always had his own sport to go to, and he was gone early February, come back at the end of the season, then go to instructional league. So when my mom took me to the events, she was there to encourage me, to watch me, to support me. And I think the coolest thing about my mom was she was calm. And the calmness or whatever else, when in the heat of emotions, when sports starts to get you all riled up, she was able to kind of bring you down and make you understand that you really perform really much better when you're in control of your emotions and those sorts of things. So a lot of life lessons. I was a hothead. I threw the bat a lot of times. I threw my helmet sometimes. And my mom would actually go, what's happening to you in those moments? And I go, I just can't stand it. And she said, that feeling is good, but you need to channel that feeling towards your game. So focus on, use that energy and that focus to take more swings in the cage, to go shoot baskets, to shoot, 50 more shots. Use that as an energy source. And so she helped me channel the focus of sport. And I think that was one of the most important things. And just having a calm demeanor, accepting what happened, and then knowing that, there's a new day tomorrow.
The day of 21-31, broadcast on HTS. I remember back to that time. For me, I was just about to start my second season broadcasting the Caps in the NHL. Cal, if I'm not mistaken, there was a 22-minute ovation for you at Camden Yards. Describe for us the appreciation the fans showed and how humbling this might be for Alex when he does break Wayne Gretzky's record.
So I don't know. It was surprising to me, the outpouring of love that came through. Like, people ask me, what's the best thing that happened to you on a baseball field? Catching last out of the World Series by far was the best feeling of fulfillment, satisfaction, joy. It's part of the dream to be a player, to understand, what it feels like to win the World Series. But the best human moment was that 22 minutes of clapping. I didn't know how to react to it. I think everybody was trying to plan a special event, but nobody could have planned for that. And the way it unfolded with Rafael Palmeiro and Bobby Bonilla pushing me down the line saying, you got to take a lap around this ballpark, but they'll never stop clapping. And I was thinking, and I didn't want to do it. And I was thinking, I'm not doing that. And then finally they pushed me down there, and I started that journey around the ballpark. And you started recognizing people, not just 50,000 strong, but you recognize individual people that you've seen there before. I knew some people in the stands by name. And as you went around it, that celebration kind of kept building. And it was one of the best human moments anybody could have on a field. So I imagine that outpouring of love for Alex is going to be there, and he's going to have to kind of deal with his own emotions. And at first I tried to control it because my thought was, okay, look, everybody just stop clapping. Let's play the game. It's not fair to our pitcher. It's not fair to their pitcher. Let's just finish the game because it happened halfway through the game. Let's finish the game, and then I'll stay up with you and I'll celebrate all you want. So trying to control that kind of, didn't allow me to open up. And then once I made the lap and once they pushed me out there or whatever else, it made me open up to, how great that was, how special that was. I don't think anyone could have planned, or choreographed how that unfolded. And it was just really special for me.
During that lap, I was watching you, and I know you were trying to make eye contact with everyone, it seemed. It was a magical moment. And that night, your children, Rachel and Ryan, they helped throw out the first pitch before the game that you broke the record in. Alex's sons, Sergey and Ilya, hopefully will be in attendance to witness this achievement. What was it like? How proud were you to have your little ones around for that big game?
Well, part of the joy of going through an experience like that is you can share it. Bring people in, that you love and have them experience it as well. Now, my kids were pretty young. My daughter has more memory of it than Ryan does. And even now, Ryan will go back and look at the pictures, or he wants to go in, and open some boxes in a storage facility that kind of represents a memorabilia version of your life. And then when you open up those boxes, stories start to come out. So, again, if I was giving any advice to Alex or whatever, I'll share it with your family. Enjoy it. It really makes it that much better.
Wonderful of you to share so much time with us today, Cal. One last question. You're the Iron Man. I mean, you broke a record that was seemingly unreachable. If all goes well, Alex is now almost equal to and about to surpass Wayne Gretzky's goal-scoring total, a number again that was unthinkable about approaching. What does it say about the heart of these two great athletes, yourself and Alex? What does it say about your competitive heart?
Well, a lot of drive, a lot of determination, a love of the game, a need to be in there in the lineup. I always thought that I could play, and I wanted to be in there. And in order to do something like that, you have that drive. A lot of people ask me, "What's your secret?" And I'm going, "There's no secret. I love to play, and it just kind of happens." Not too many people will accept that, but if you really dig down deep, it has to be important to you. It has to be meaningful to you. You have to love something so much that you're willing to go through all the grind of it to get to the other side. But I think Alex might think this, and I think this. I know I do. Is that if I can do it, certainly somebody else can. And it's a high bar to pass to get there. In my case, you need 17 years of not missing a game. But if I can do it, somebody else has that drive, somebody else has that love, they certainly can do it.
Amazing perseverance, endurance, durability, hard work, two very great eights. Cal, thank you so much for spending so much time with us today.
My pleasure.